Hi there guys, I just thought I'd do an update video. It was long overdue, years overdue in fact, on updating what happened to my Quadrifoglio once I sold it. Also a little bit more info to add along the way throughout the video. So I've put all the videos I made on it together and I will splice in all the new bits as we go along. Hi guys, just want to say a massive thanks to Salvat Ali, the sales guy from Research Garage in Nuneaton. He did a really good job of preparing the car. He answered every question I had on it right up until late at night. He's one of the good guys out there, so if you do want an Alfa Romeo, give him a call. I will pop his details in the description below. Hi guys, Neil at Italia Autos here. Welcome back to another video on my channel, and I'm happy to say I have a new car, and this is it behind me, the Giulia Quadrifoglio. So let's have a walk around it now, talk about it for a little bit, and let's see what we can discuss and what content we can make in the future. Right, how does it drive? It drives better than I ever imagined it would do. The interior cabin noise is very quiet. I would have thought, like with the Buzzo engines, or Buzo engines, however you'd like to call them, I thought you would hear some engine noise in the cabin when you're driving along, but there's absolutely no noise in the cabin. The only noise you can hear is when you put your foot to the floor, and as you heard a minute ago, you can hear the exhaust warbling away in the background. It's not until you actually put it in race mode that you actually hear noise at all from the car. Let's pop it into race now, and you can hear the instantly drops a gear, and then you can hear the exhaust revving away. It's sticking to the speed limits at the moment. It's very busy out and about. Yeah, it's very easy to break the speed limit in this car. It does not like to sit at 30 miles an hour. It likes to sort of trundle along in its highest gear at about 40 miles an hour. Trying to keep this car to 30 miles an hour is nigh on impossible. I've actually had to resort to putting the cruise control on and set it to 30 miles an hour when I know there's quite a few speed cameras in the area. So, what do I think of it? I think it is the best car I have ever driven. It's full of soul, it's full of passion, it's super powerful, it holds the road really well, the steering is absolutely amazing, the Brakes are amazing. If anything, the brakes are a little bit too good. My main issue with the brakes is you've only got to sort of dab the throttle and your brakes are on. So it's something you're going to need to get used to with a little bit more driving. So I've only really had the car sort of 48 hours now, and I've done about 100 miles in it, and I am absolutely smitten. It is absolutely amazing. It's very scary to drive, especially when you're in race mode, but it is definitely a very special car. And that's my front collision warning telling me to get away from the car in front. And is this car going to go the opposite direction? Yes, it is. So it's such a powerful car. You've got ample power anywhere in the rev range. There is a little bit of a lag when you pull off and you want to put a lot of throttle down. There is a tiny little bit of lag, but as soon as it kicks in and bogs down, you're off and you're gone. So how's it holding up? It's now just over 3 years old. I can't hear any knocks or bangs from the suspension. The steering is as tight as I could ever imagine it would be. The interior, there is no rattles, bangs or knocks. The only thing I have heard is a little bit of a squeak down there in the seat bolster between the armrest, but that is literally just where the leather just touches the armrest. But that could be sorted out very easily, just probably by putting a little bit of silicone spray down there, and that would stop that from squeaking. But everything works as it should. Heated steering wheel and heated seat are very good. The heated steering wheel is all the way around the wheel, so no matter where you're holding that in the winter, it will keep your hands nice and toasty. And with the seat, it's the seat base and the seat back which heats up. It doesn't get too hot, it doesn't burn your bum if you leave it on the hottest level. But you have got 3 levels to choose from. Now the suspension on this car is absolutely phenomenal. You don't feel road humps and bumps like you do in a lot of cars. I've driven the Audi S5 and I've driven the Mercedes C43 and the A45, and the suspension on those was really hard, and you could still feel a lot of the lumps and bumps. Whereas the suspension on this, it's silky smooth. I've been over some quite rough roads, and I've not been concerned I'm going to be damaging wheels by hitting tiny potholes or anything like that. Now I've been actively searching for one of these for 6 weeks now, since I decided I was definitely going to have one. So I've been watching an awful lot of video content on YouTube, and watching a few of the Top Gear videos and the other motor magazine videos that are out there, and their main concerns, or the main moans, were about the center console. I quite frankly don't know why they were picking at it as a fault. Gear change is easy to do. You've got carbon fibre all around it. Yes, you've got a little bit of plastic in the centre, but to complain it's cheap and nasty, not really. Yes, it's a little bit of plastic there, but it's not cheap plastic. It's got a nice coating to it, it's got a nice feel to it. So as to why motor journalists were complaining about that, I have no idea at all. Yeah, it probably could be the Tinsy Wincy's a little bit better, like they have done in the 2020 release one. But to say that's a fault, I think they are being extremely picky. And the other one is the infotainment system. I do agree with them a little bit on it. It's not the most ergonomic of systems. The Uconnect system in my Jeep is a lot easier to use and a lot easier to navigate, but that is a touchscreen system. But to be honest, most of the time I'm looking straight ahead. I'm not focusing on the screen. The way you utilise the hands-free kit and you find your music using a little dial in the centre, it's not difficult, it's just something you've got to get used to. But as I say, 99% of the time when you're in your car driving, you're looking at that front windscreen, holding onto the steering wheel, having the time of your life. So the last thing you're going to be doing is moaning, oh, the infotainment system isn't very good. Well, it doesn't really matter if it's not very good, it's adequate for what it does. And for a journalist to pick those 2 faults, I'm actually quite pleased that that is the only 2 things they could find at fault with it. Because it is one of the best car I've ever driven, and I've driven a lot of cars over my time. The other cars I was thinking about having was a Ford Mustang, the 5 litre one. Never even bothered test driving one, because I was a little bit put off by the reliability history on them. and also the fact it's just not a Dodge Challenger, which is my all-time favourite muscle car. I was looking at them thinking, oh, I could get a very nice Dodge Challenger for what I've spent on this, but it's left-hand drive, none sure as to what the insurance was going to cost, as being as it's an import, servicing and parts, how easy is that going to get? So I decided against that pretty quickly. The only other car which was on my list was going to be the Audi S5, because you can actually spend about 25 grand at the minute on a half decent one, and I was thinking it's not quite as much money, I'm actually going to be saving quite a lot of money by having one of those. But again, I decided against it for the main reason is because it looked damn boring. They drove really nice, they've got all your mod cons, you've got your digital dashboard, but it just didn't have any soul or any passion built into it. Everything was where you wanted it to be, and everything was how you'd imagine it would be, totally boring. So I decided against that, and the only thing which was in my mind was I want a Giulia. I want a Giulia QV. I even contemplated just having the Veloce to try and save a lot of money, but I knew at the end of the day it wasn't a Quadrifoglio, and that's what I wanted. So I had to wait longer and save my pennies up even more, and I finally have the dream car I've been longing for the last 3 years. Originally I did say to myself as, oh, I'd love the coupe version, so I was hanging on for the coupe, but now we know that's never going to happen under the new Alfa plan. So bit the bullet and had this baby right here, and I must say I am not regretting it one little bit. I'm not going to be doing any modifications to the car really. At the moment I'm perfectly happy with it. I think Alfa has spent billions developing this platform, and I think going to spend £200 on a set of road springs isn't really going to do the car justice. I think the car sits low enough, I think it handles well enough, the wheels don't need wheel spacers on them. I don't have a passion in modifying cars when it is already this good. I can't really see how much better they could make it. One of the things I do want to do is, which I've made in the past, is some carbon fibre mud flaps. As this car has tons of carbon fibre on it already, I was thinking of designing some bespoke ones for the car, and doing a video on making those and fitting those, because I have noticed there are quite a few stone chips where the mud flaps would sit on the front arches. Yeah, so I really want to film some different videos for you guys, stuff that you can't find on YouTube, stuff about the designing of the car, about certain aspects of the car and how they are better than its competition, like the BMW M3 and the Mercedes C63, C43. So I have got some ideas in my head of what I can do, so hopefully it's going to be some interesting and different content for you. So guys, this is my 2017 Giulia Quadrifoglio in the tricolour pearl white. The options it's got on it, it's got the standard darker tint alloy wheels, which are my preferred colour and style. It's got the upgraded sound system, it's got the winter pack, so it's got the heated seats and steering wheel. It's also got the convenience pack, so I've got a few extra bits of storage, some LED lights and keyless entry. It's also got the electric memory seats on it as well, which they were a must for me, because if the wife's driving it, it's a pain to get the seats set up in your perfect position. So with memory seats, it's a great option to have. Now I've gone for the 17 plate over the newer ones purely because this one does have the slightly lower ride height than the 2018 models. So let's show you the interior. We've got the red stitching in the leather dashboard. It's also got the half red trim on the lower half. The seats are actually really comfortable, and the heated element is very good as well. What I do like is all the little details they've done of carbon fibre around the car. You've got the centre console, you've got the door trims. So how well has it held up for being 3 years old? When I bought it, it did need a few alloy wheel touch-ups, so all those have been done by Research Garage in Nuneaton. But from what I can tell, it's had quite a bit of acid put on those wheels at some point in its life, because you can see the tyre pressure monitor is quite corroded. The brake calipers have lost all their shine, so I will probably want to re-lacquer them at some point. And the centre rings for the wheels need replacing, but Saab Rally is going to send me a brand new set to fit. The other thing I've noticed, which is one of the reasons why I want to get some mud flaps for it, is, as with all cars, you're getting some stone chips along there. Not so many up here. There's a little chip there as well, so I will want to get a little touch-up kit just to fix a few stone chips that I've got around it. Main front bumper doesn't particularly have any stone chips or any defects or anything like that. It's held up pretty well. There was a Competizione red one that I was looking at, but I was put off by that, by the amount of stone chips on the front bumper. There was literally tons of them. The only other little chips I've found, we've got two little chips there, which again I will want to touch in and get rid of. I'll probably do a video on doing that to see how good of a match we can get. I know touching them up they're not going to totally disappear, but at least it's not going to stick out like a sore thumb. Again, the wheels and tyres have all been repaired, so they are all in good condition. It's currently got winter tyres fitted to it. They are pretty much brand new all round. I'm a bit confused as to why it's got winter tyres on it in the heat of summer, but as it's now autumn as of tomorrow, pretty much, I'm going to leave those on there. I won't be doing many miles on it over the next 4, 5, 6 weeks anyway. The other thing I've noticed is the stone chip on the bottom there, that has yellowed a little bit, so I may get that replaced. Take that off and see if the dealer will sell you a new one, or I'm going to have to make it up. So I've had the car a few weeks now. First chance I've had to get it on the ramp. I have got a bit of a knock or a rattle. To me, it sounded like an upper wishbone. I have had a quick look and I do know what it is already, so I will talk about that in a minute. So let's have a look under it and let's see how well it's aging, what's wrong with it, and what needs doing to it. Try and see if I can get this vibrating noise on camera, so I'm going to be quiet now and listen for a minute, and we should hopefully hear some sort of vibration now. Don't know if you heard that on camera. I'm trying to have a little bit of a low drain. So let's pick another point. Here's another one now, so listen now. Well, I found out what the rattling is. It sounds like a wishbone was going. That's what it sounded to me, so I thought let's get it on the ramp and have a look and see what's going on. And the jacking point cover is totally loose. Let's start at the front end. This carbon spoiler, it has picked up quite a few scratches, which is understandable. It is quite low to the front of the car, and every time you do go over speed humps, you do hear some rubbing, but you know, there's not much you can do about it. We do have some rubbing on at the front corner of the bumper. Now, if any of you guys want to lower your spoiler to give it a good clean, 2 13mm nuts there, undo both of those and your front spoiler will drop straight down. Now, under these you have got one heck of a lot of undercarriage covers. We've got a damaged one here, which is probably going to cause some flapping when I'm driving along. So I'm going to want to do something with that. So maybe a couple of cable ties will pull it back together, but I do want to see how much a new one of those is at the dealer. It is quite a large part, so I'll be phoning the parts department and having a word with those. Also noticed some damage to the front flexi pipes here. I don't think it's going to be very long until we've got some holes there, so I maybe want to start thinking about fitting an X-pipe exactly the same on this one here. So that's a mod I want to continue to think about. A few bits of arch liner flapping around, so I may need to just get a few nuts and bolts on there just to tighten these things up to stop them flapping around. That's my biggest annoyance, is having to replace that. Let's go further down the car. That side looks okay. Rust wise, for a 3-year-old car, perfectly fine. No little spots of rust or anything like that, so fingers crossed. Have galvanised the underside now. Onto this rear skid pan, which is sort of the largest skid pan part on the car. It has picked up a few knocks and bangs. A little bit of a bent heat shield, so we'll pop that back into shape there. All present and accounted for. We do have stones starting to appear up here, so we'll want to clean those out. I'm going to undo these few nuts and see how much crap I can pull from behind there. But it has surprised me on how much Alfa have taken into account aerodynamics on the underside of the car. I mean, there isn't much of the car, other than the exhaust in the centre, that isn't covered by something which would enable better aerodynamics. And we've got the line going through here, which is going to shape the air as it goes. I mean, this is shaped as well. I'd imagine that's going to do something for air distribution on the underbelly. We've got these air fins here, which are going to shape the air to the rear spoiler at the back. And as you can see here, that rear spoiler isn't there for effect. It's there to direct the air from the front of the car all the way through to the back. We've got the automatic gearbox here, and when we ever need to change the fluid in it, very easy. You've just got a sump plug there, and if you ever need to change the gasket, very easy to access. Nothing getting in our way there to ever change that. Now here we have got some mounts for the back of the transmission. Not going to be difficult to change those if they ever need replacing. And just above it we have the carbon fibre prop shaft. You can't actually see very much of it because it's all underneath a heat shield here, but it's going to go all the way along here, back up into there, but we can't see it because it's too dark. Also struggled to get the car on the ramp, had to put 4 bits of plywood down, sort of a centimetre thick, and it raised it up sufficiently enough to be able to get it on the ramp, because this part of the arm, as you can see, it's very close to the skirt still, but it has just about cleared it, or it is just kissing it ever so slightly, and the rear part is nice and clear. Now, I was going to remove the valance to remove all the stones which notoriously gather behind the valance, but unfortunately all the clips on every single one of these but one of them have started to disintegrate, so the bolt just spins. So I can't do that now. I'm going to have to order some new bolts and some new clips from the dealer before I can do that. So let's just move on to securing the underside of the belly pans. Now from this part here, we're just missing some of the clips. So for now I have sprayed some 10mm nuts and bolts, if you can see them here, in some grease so they don't clog up too soon. So let's just pop these through here. So what I'm going to do it the other way around. I'll wash you again. And a nut. I'll tighten that up in a second. Let's just do the other side. So there we go. That's 2 bits sorted. Let's have a look at these bits at the front now. Now it does look as though that's been rubbing and it has just sort of disintegrated. So what I may do is just put a couple of small drill holes through it and a couple of cable ties for now, and we can hold that back together. And this is only going to be a temporary measure. Three should be sufficient. Now I wonder how many hundreds of pounds Alpha are going to want for this part. It's a bit crap that 3 years old, and I'm having to put some cable ties on my very expensive car to stop some wind noise problems. So that should flap around a little bit less now. The next bits are these two parts here. Right, as you can see here, it's pulled it out of the under tray, so I'm just going to probably just tech screw it over here. And that will hold it out the way and stop it from flapping. Same on the other side, and we're all done then. So the first thing I noticed, which is vastly different to all the Alfa Romeos of old, is you've got sort of two wishbones at the front now, which are sort of not really wishbones, they are arms. We've got the main one, which is here, which has got your ball joint in it, secures the suspension here, and then attaches to the subframe up there. So again, that will not be difficult to change later on in life. The same with changing the suspension. Looks very easy. You've got plenty of room to knock that out if needed. And then you've got your steering arm here, which is attached to the front of the hub. And there's a second like wishbone arm, which goes from sort of the middle of the hub right the way up into the front of the subframe up there, if you can get it to focus. So again, it's not going to be that much of a pain to change wishbones when they get older. Upper wishbones are pretty much what we're used to seeing on the Alfa Romeo 159s, where you've got sort of a double independent wishbone held in at the back there, but it does look as though you don't need to move the spring out of the way to change the upper wishbone. So in theory, you know, it's going to be what, half an hour's labour each side? You know, it's not even going to take that. If everything comes off nicely, we could probably have a wishbone changed in 5 minutes. So it's certainly one heck of a lot easier to work on than Alfa 159 wishbones. From what we can see of the rear suspension, it's just a suspension arm at the rear end. An independent rear suspension arm bolted to a subframe. Again, springs wouldn't be that difficult to change. You would just probably need to take a bolt out of the arm to pull the spring out, or use spring compressors on it, but with the wheel off that should be fairly simple to do. Again, another job when these vehicles are much older, not going to be difficult to do. Now, when I did my first video on it, these rear exhausts were really sooted up. I have put some brake cleaner on them and some Autosol. I've cleaned them up a little bit. All the soot's gone now, but it's all sort of de-chromed, so I am going to want to get some new ends. But from what I've seen, it's about £500 for some new ends, so I'm like, I won't do that. There is two little spot welds on the underside here on each one. So what I'll probably do is take this rear valance off, drill them out, take them off and paint them black or another suitable colour. Pink maybe, no. Yeah, well I'll take them off and paint them black probably, nice gloss black. Will make it look a lot cleaner. So we're off the ramp now. There are 3 things I need to sort out for it. I need to get the belly pan replaced. I need to get the clips and the bolts for the rear sort of valance spoiler, and then I can get all the stones out of that. And the third thing is the jacking point, how that's loose there. But what I'm going to do with that is, I've tried tightening it up, it just keeps spinning. So it's got warranty, it should be covered. So I'm going to call the dealer and get it booked in there for them to sort it out. And the other thing I'm going to update you on is the problem I had when I broke down. It was literally just the battery causing it. I have got some video of the actual fault when it happened, so I will insert that in a second. But I'll tell you about it now. I actually broke down 3 times. First time was outside my house when I did the video. I literally just used the car, took the kids to school, no issues, come back home to get something, went to restart it, boom, it was dead. This is where I'll put the video in now. Annoyed isn't the word. A week and a half into ownership and I've broken down. Used the car twice this morning. Dropped the nipper off to school and come back home to grab my keys which I'd left at home. So gone to jump back in the car again. I'd abandoned it sort of in the middle of the road thinking I'd only be here for a few seconds. Gone to start it, massive click from the dashboard and then dead. So hopefully it's just a battery issue, but rather annoying is to say the least of it. So I'll show you what's happening. I'm in the car with the key and the car is absolutely dead. Typically, being at home, I've got no tools or anything here. So I have called the AA and they are going to be out in the next sort of hour and 45 minutes. And it just so happens I've got customers booked in for work to be done today and it couldn't be any more annoying. Another annoying quirk is I wish I could access the boot. No jump leads, so I could, I can technically put a battery on at the front of the car if I've got jump leads, but I can't get into the boot to even check the battery connections. I mean, it may be something as stupid as that. So, yeah, stuck, waiting for the AA to come. Been having a few problems with it since the first week of ownership, really. Jumped into it one day after I'd not used it for 24 hours. And it didn't start right, and we got a warning light on the dash as well as the engine warning light. Took it for a spin, and it did rectify itself over a couple of drives, and then didn't use it for 2 days, and same problem again. So it is booked into the dealer on Monday, which I'm pretty sure it's just going to be a battery replacement. So hopefully it's nothing more, because if it does continue, this car will be going back. I'm not spending all this money on a car which is breaking down constantly on me. So very annoying time today, costing me money and everything. So I can't have a car which is doing this to me. Well, the AA have been out to it, and typically as soon as he turns up, he decides the battery's perfectly fine and it works okay. But we are getting loads of errors on the dash as before. But we haven't got the engine warning light on for a change. That has come on before. So I reckon after a mile of driving I could restart it and there'll be no faults left on the dashboard. So yeah. So then after that the AA van come, sorted it out, jump started it, tested the battery, said yeah, your battery's not very good, which I knew anyway. So booked it into the dealer, not a problem. 1 week later it was booked in for. Carried on using it thinking, oh, if it just happened outside my house or some other problems like that, or I've got the intermittent warning lights on the dash, not a problem. But I then decided to go into Birmingham, do some shopping on the way out of Birmingham. Friday night, 5 o'clock, so rush hour, pulled up some traffic lights, stop start, decided it wanted to work, which was like a very rare thing. And then lights went green, went to pull off, car went bloom. Totally dead. So I was crapping my pants a little bit there, cars everywhere, lorry right behind me trying to sort of go into the back of me almost because he thought the lights were green and we could all go. Luckily, after like 30 seconds, power was back again, car started, all the way home, no issues. So I thought we'd go for a nice leisurely drive to take my wife to work, and we come to a junction again, stop start, decided it wanted to try and work, and then the car was dead, nothing. I was there for probably 50 minutes, car didn't want to know at all, it had no power to anything. You can't access the boot when there's no power to the car, so I couldn't even check the battery connections. I've got no tools with me, so I couldn't do anything. I've got no jump pack with me. Loads of really good passerbys were, oh, do you want to help us out? And I was like, I can't do anything with it because the handbrake's on or it's now in park. So I couldn't even move the car. I was stuck at this junction for nearly an hour. So the recovery guy come, we got a jump leads on it, managed to get it going again, charged the battery up a little bit, and then we could start it underneath its own power. And it still struggled then, so we towed it straight down to the dealer because I'd sort of had enough of it then. I was a little bit angry, but understanding as it was, I knew it was just a battery problem. So into the dealer, they gave me a hire car, which was great. And then they called me Monday evening, yep, we'll put a new battery on for you, and sorted it out. So the battery was 100% the problem. So the car is 3 years old, 53,000 miles, and it needs a new battery, which is a little bit upsetting really, but speaking to the dealer, it's a very common problem on these Giulietta Quadrifolios. When they've not been used for a long period of time, or say over the winter you don't use it and you don't put it on a trickle charger, the batteries just don't last as long as they should do. So they have replaced the battery under warranty, didn't need to, but they have done it for me. And it's all done now, all back up and tickety-boo, no issues at all. The only issue I had, which is the reason I got it on the ramp, was that vibrating, which was from the jacking point. So we can get that all sorted, and it should be perfect then. Apart from... So after the first video went out, the previous owner got in contact with me and told me all about the history of it, the fact that it had travelled all over Europe and he had thoroughly loved it, but unfortunately he lived down a farm track, and that actually explained why we had all the damage and all the dirt underneath the car, because every time he drove to and from his house, it got completely and utterly battered. Hi guys, Neil at Italia Autos here. Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today is quite a sad day. Today is going to be the last day I own my Giulia Quadrifoglio. I have owned it now nearly 16 months, and I just feel as though I'm at the point now where I need to let it go. There's nothing else I want to replace it with. There's no major reasons why I want to get rid of it. It's still mechanically sound and drives really nice, and I do, for the vast majority of it, enjoy driving it. So why am I selling it? Well, the market is very good on them still. As I say, I've owned it 15 months and it's not cost me a penny. I'm actually making a little bit of money on it by selling it back to the dealer. I was gonna advertise it privately, which I did on Facebook, and I did put it on Auto Trainer, but I think at this price point most people are going to want finance to buy it, and they're going to want a warranty. So I'm like, for the difference between what I can sell it for privately and what the dealer have offered me, I'm stupid not to give it to the dealer. The dealer's offered me near enough £3 more than all the other like Motorway and We Buy Any Car and other dealers. They've offered me a really good price, so I'd be stupid not to take it. So they're coming to pick it up later today, and it will be going off. I would imagine it's going to go straight up for sale, and somebody's going to buy it for a vastly increased price. Yay! So how have I found it owning it? There's been quite a few niggles. It's more design niggles than anything else, and what Alfa have chosen to do. The first one, and probably one of the most annoying ones, is the auto seat function. When you turn the ignition off or open the door, the seat goes all the way back. You can't turn it off. You can stop it by pushing one of the buttons on the side of the seat, but it's a bit of a faff trying to reach down, find the buttons as you're exiting the car. And if anybody's in the back seat, it just crushes their legs because it goes all the way back. So it is really not a very good idea, but I think in the facelift versions you can have the option to turn it off. But one of the good features of having that seat going all the way back means that the seat bolster isn't going to get worn. One of the other little things that annoys me a little bit is with the gearbox. When you're in manual mode, and you go to put it in reverse, it doesn't. It goes into first. So you think you're in reverse, and you go forward. So there's been a couple of times where you could actually drive into a wall. So yeah, just be careful with that when you're in manual mode. Another little extremely superficial fault, and it shouldn't put anybody off buying a car, it's just me being a little bit pathetic, is the fuel trip. The gauge, the MPG gauge, it goes the wrong way. So English and most of the world read from left to right, but this works from right to left, and I think that just annoys me that it's the wrong way round. And I do believe again in the facelift car they changed it so it works the right way around. It's just little silly niggles like that which annoy you, like the sun visor. You want to get the sun visor down. 99% of people are right-handed, but you always grab the sun visor with your right hand, but there's nowhere to pull the sun visor down. It's on the left-hand side, and it's just something stupid like that which annoys the crap out of you when you're trying to rush because you're blinded by the sun. There's just a few little things like that. Trying to think anything else now. There's not much else, to be honest. Oh yeah, the infotainment system, it's an absolute pile of crap. It's fine when you want to listen to the radio. It's not that easy to navigate. The sat nav is okay as long as you don't go off route. If you go off route, it will send you 1 hour out the way sometimes. And when you put you're listening to like a USB stick and you want to put it on shuffle, it'll shuffle them within sort of 20-30 songs. But every time you stop the car and get back in it again, it starts shuffling from the beginning again. And I'm just like, just give me a proper shuffle. I don't want to keep listening to the same 10 songs. Thank you very much. So yeah, it is atrocious, and it's not very good. And the reverse camera is tiny. And one thing I have noticed, the reverse camera isn't straight. So when you're reversing up to something, you think you're going in straight, but you get out the car and you're a little bit skewiff. It's because the reverse camera isn't quite straight. Right, now I am just going to reverse into this space here. Let's show you that I'm going in straight. Let's have a look out the door. Yeah, I'm pretty straight. And now, there we go. Let's show you this. If you look at the camera, I am not straight against that curb. Let's go to the back of the car now. And we are straight to the back of the curb. Another thing, the day I got it, I turned the lane departure off and never switched it back on again. I think it was on for probably 5 minutes, and I was like, yeah, no, we don't need that. We're looking in front and we're driving, we know what lane we're in, so bye-bye that feature. The forward collision, I'd set that to its shortest distance, because quite often you're literally just overtaking a parked car and it will scream blue murder at you saying brake, 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 brake. So yeah, I switched that to its lowest settings and it actually behaves quite well. Also, the door apertures are quite short, so you always bang your arse every time you get into the car. Not a lot can be done about that, just adjust the way you get in and out of the car. And also the gap between sort of the sill and the side skirt is absolutely massive. So if you've got children, they're going to be standing all over those sills and scratching those sills up. So you may want to think about getting some protection film put on that area, because they will scratch it up. This has got a couple of little scratches down there, but that'll all polish out. So now on to the good things. There are actually quite a few things I enjoy about the car and I will miss about it. The power, the 505 horsepower, whatever it is, it's phenomenal. You can pretty much outblast anything on the road. And you know, you can have some fun playing with some people within the speed limit, of course. But yeah, I have had some fun in it. Even the wife enjoys the power of it, so that is one thing I will miss. The gearbox is great. There's changes you can barely tell. When you're in the different driving modes, the gearbox is a little bit more relaxed. And all the changes are always crisp and really quite fast. The exhaust, I do love the sound of the exhaust. Especially when you're sticking in race mode, you get some proper noise from it, and it's quite fun. If you time the exhaust changes just right, you get the bangs from the exhaust. So if you're going down a high street and there's some people watching the car as you drive by, which happens quite a bit, and you time it just right, they go, "Ooh!" You get all scared by it. But so yeah, that's quite fun, and I will miss the exhaust sound as well. And I believe it or not, I'm not that vain, but the amount of tension that this car gets, it's unbelievable. I've had loads of cars over the years, and the amount of tension, you know, you're going down the street and you have people looking around, nearly bumping into things. Going to the petrol station, people commenting on how nice the car is. It's not just, you know, 1 or 2 times in the last 15 months. It's pretty much every time I go out in it, it turns heads. And there aren't many cars that do that nowadays. Another thing I really love is the way it handles. I can't fault the way it handles. It sticks to the road like glue. It just wants to go everywhere and do everything you put it. It doesn't have any tyre squeal or anything like that when you're racing round. And it does a very good job of everything it says on the tin, really. It's just those few little niggles that I've pointed out previously that can annoy you every time you get in the car. And I know every car is going to have them, but if they just sit back and thought about these few little things a little bit more, it would be the perfect car. Fuel wise, it is actually pretty good. I've owned, you know, all the GTAs, all the big V6 petrol cars, and they were getting sort of between 19 and 23 round town. But in this, I'm getting anywhere from 18 to 30. It does really well indeed, especially on motorways. I think I even added up to just under 40 at one point, 40 miles per gallon. And I really wasn't expecting to be able to do that. But averaging, I'm sort of between 21 and 24, and I do sort of around town driving more than anything, a lot of stop-start. So a lot of you guys who are using these for commuting will get much better MPG than you could possibly imagine, really. Reliability, I have got or had 2 faults with it. 3 faults if you include the battery right at the beginning. When I first bought it, the dealer sold me with a Duff battery, so I was breaking down all the time, and I had to get it back to the dealer to have a new battery fitted. Since I had the new battery, it's been perfectly fine. Every now and again you get a braking attempt on the dashboard, but no one's been near the car, so don't know what's causing that. Faults wise, I have had a rear shocker replaced because it started knocking. I had a look and it was peeing out fluid, so it had proper given way. Another annoying little niggle I've had throughout my entire ownership with it, I've had a knock from underneath over certain vibrating potholes and bumps in the road and contours. You get like a da-da-da-da-da, and it's been back to the dealer 5 times. They've changed the anti-roll bar links, front and rear, still didn't stop it. I've had it on my ramp as well. I've took all the under trays off it. I've tested everything out. I can't find it for love nor money, so I've sort of given up on it, and that can be a fault the dealer can find for the new owner. But other than that, no, it's been mechanically sound. As this is a higher mileage one, I'm currently on what, 59,000 miles. You do expect some components to start to fail at 60,000, and the shocker isn't a cheap fix. Luckily it was under warranty, but that bill came to just over £1,000 for a shocker. And what else? Now, yeah, we've had nothing else go wrong with it. It's been fairly well reliable. The service I did this year was pretty much just an oil and filter change and a check over. That cost me, I think it's £360. I was expecting a lot more. Tyres wise, I had the summer tyres fitted. I'll stick what they were down here, I forget what they were. And you did get the steering wheel chatter when you're reversing or going forwards on full lock. But on the winter tyres, the brand will be put down there now, there's no chatter at all, so it's great in the winter because when you're putting off the drive full lock, it doesn't chatter at all. So what's next? Well, at the minute, nothing. Everything I've got in the unit at the minute I want to finish. If you saw the video last week, you saw I was working on my 156 GTA Sport Wagon. I think I'm going to try and get that finished and use that. So my Jeep, I've had that nearly 5 years, and it's been the most reliable vehicle I've ever owned. I haven't had breakdown. I haven't had a fault code. I've had nothing go wrong with it. The only two things I've had to do, I had to change a brake light bulb last year, and a few weeks ago I had to change a xenon headlight bulb, which was a proper pain in the backside to change. Because they're very delicate bulbs, I didn't want to get into it via the access underneath the arch because it's extremely tight. So I ended up taking the front bumper off, which is a pain in itself, taking the headlight and doing it on the workbench, just because the fact the bulbs are like 60 quid. Didn't want to damage it putting it in, because you could do that very easily. So yeah, there is nothing next at the moment. I have been looking around, there's a few things I like, but I'm going to try and resist. In this climate at the moment, it's not worth buying a car because you are paying over the odds. So I am going to hang on, wait to see what happens. I'm in no rush. I mean, electric vehicles are becoming the thing now, so I'm going to hang on and just see what happens. I probably may never get another really expensive car. I want to try and resist it, to be honest, because whenever I get one, I always sort of begrudge having so much money sitting on the driveway for 5-6 days a week. So I need to sort of get out of my mentality of wanting to own a fast car, because when I've got one, I'm sort of talked myself out of having it after a few months. So I'm going to go off and enjoy the Giulia for a few more hours, and thank you guys for watching, and speak to you soon. So now here's the juicy bit. Once I sold the car, the dealer had put it up for sale and immediately sold it, gone off to the new owner, and then a few months later I was just browsing on Copart, as you do, and I saw videos of this crashed white Giulia Quadrifoglio, and I was like, that looks a bit familiar. Went through the photos, saw a picture of the back, saw what the registration plate was. I was like, oh no, that's my old Quadrifoglio. So after a few months, I just totally forgot about the quad, and I was browsing on Copart, as you do, for another project, and I saw this white Giulia Quadrifoglio come up, and I was like, ooh, looks familiar. It's exactly the same spec as the car I had. And went through a few more photos, and on the back there was a registration plate, and it was my registration plate, and I was like, oh, he'd only had that a few months ago, and we were talking, I sold it in the November, and on the April it was on Copart for sale, and they normally keep them for a few months. So there we go, that was the end of the quad, so I thought. So I watched the auction end, and I think it went for about £17,000, which was less than half of what it was sold for a couple of months previously. So I just sort of let it go, and then a few days later got a phone call off the new owner asking me all about it, what had happened to it, and I told him all that. So apparently it had been repaired and put back on the road, and then about 12 months after that I had a message from another new owner of it, saying they were buying it or they'd bought it and they wanted to know some more information on it. So it's out there now, but I would imagine it's got a category S against it, so I wouldn't be interested in buying it back again. Almost forgot then as well, I'm glad I've inserted this into the video. When I put out the final video on the quad, so many people got upset that I'd slagged off Alfa Romeo or my own car. It was quite laughable, really. Even one person knew who I'd bought the car off and emailed the dealer saying I'd been slagging them off and I didn't deserve to own an Alfa Romeo. I've never laughed so hard in my life. You people out there, some people out there get so defensive over their cars, and it was a truthful, honest video. I wasn't slagging anybody off. I was just annoyed and sad that I was losing my quad. But yeah, so if you see any car in future or a video upsets you, comment on the description below. Don't phone the dealer because you're that upset that that person is selling their car. And there we go, that is the history of my quad. If you do own it now, let me know. It'll be interesting to see the quality of repairs, so get in contact and I'll happily do another video on it. So hopefully you've enjoyed this rehash of a video and finding out more about what happened to it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.